And Nishad said he was afraid. He said Sam was on the edge. That Sam was so on the edge that he had physical... Nishad said that he felt suicidal for some days. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, today, big explosive witness testimony from Nishad Singh, the former close friend and confidant of Sam Bankman-Fried. So far, Nishad's testimony has a lot of subtle implications against Sam Bankman. Some not so subtle, but also starting to drag some of Scam Sam's family members. His brother, that nonprofit he set up in DC, so it is getting a little interesting there. So there's a lot of subtle details here, and of course the testimony is pretty long. So hang in there, guys, and I'll work on having those chapters laid out. If you don't want to hear the nitty-gritty details, you can find your spot where you want to catch up with the trial. Now, quick recap of Nishad Singh. He was director of engineering at FTX, held a 7.8% stake in the company, so almost 8%. And according to the FTX bankruptcy court, he received a $543 million loan from Alameda Research. He was also a billionaire at the time and met Sam Bankman because he was friends with Scam Sam's little brother named Gabriel. And from there, Sam recruited Nishad. Alrighty, so Nishad's testimony starts off with the prosecution asking Nishad where he worked last year, with Nishad saying FTX, that he was the chief engineer. The prosecution gets into it straight away, asking Nishad, did you commit any crimes? He said yes, fraud and campaign finance violations. Asked, who did you conspire with? Nishad said, Sam Bankman-Fried, Caroline Ellison, and Gary Wang. He also added, and others. Interesting there. I always wondered why Sam Trabucco did not get charged. Anyways, the prosecution asked him, what is venture capital? With Nishad saying it's investment money in a company hoping to make returns. He was asked by Judge Kaplan, how is it different from buying stocks? With Nishad saying it's private equity and not necessarily publicly traded. Asked, does he have a cooperative agreement with the prosecution? His plea deal? He said yes. Asked when he first met Sam Bankman-Fried. Nishad said he was close friends with his younger brother, Gabe, then saying he went from Berkeley to working for Facebook, and then in 2017 he started working with Alameda Research with Sam and of course Gary Wang, which they were both running at the time, with Nishad saying he was a software engineer at Alameda Research. Asked if he met Caroline Ellison. He said yes, that at the time she was a trader. He went on to say that from Alameda he moved over to FTX and that Sam and Gary Wang were in charge. Prosecution asked, what did Sam do that Gary Wang did not do? Nishad said, endorsement deals. Asked if Gary Wang was involved with venture investments. He said no. He said, I don't think so, that Sam was in charge of all that. Asked if he lived with the defendant. He said yes, in the Albany penthouse in the Bahamas. Asked about his relationship dynamics with Sam. He said, I've been intimidated. Sam's lawyer objected to the question, overruled. So very interesting part here. Nishad said Sam is a formidable character, meaning inciting fear, that he came to distrust Sam. Asked how much he was worth. He said he was a billionaire. Asked if he was given loans by the company. He said yes. Asked if he used the money from the exchange to make large purchases. He said yes, and to make donations. Asked who was in charge of Alameda. Nishad said Trabucco and Caroline, but ultimately it was Sam Bankman-Fried who was in charge. Asked by the prosecutors, how do you know that? Nishad said one of his computer screens was Alameda, and that Sam would unilaterally spend Alameda's money. Unilaterally. He also said that Sam had threatened to fire Caroline. Prosecution asked, how would you describe Sam's approach to spending? With Nishad saying it was excessive. Objection! Sustained. So, stricken off. Did you tell the defendant your view, your point of view? Nishad said that he learned of the spending after the fact, saying that he complained about the excess and flashiness, which he found was different from what they were supposedly building the company for. Effective altruism. Nishad said that Sam told him he does not understand, that Sam was just out there interacting with people, and that Nishad thought that they were being fleeced out of $20 million. Sam said that Nishad was sowing doubt. Prosecution asked, what is Genesis Digital Assets Mining? Nishad said they took a trip to Kazakhstan and they spent $1 million. How do you spend $1 million in Kazakhstan? When asked to elaborate on what is crypto mining, he said it was proof of work and that crypto gives out rewards. Crypto mining. When asked what crypto mining is producing, Nishad explained that this creates solutions to problems and they're bundled, the transactions are bundled on the blockchain. This is all verified and the rewards are handed out in crypto and or Bitcoin. Then asked, what is a blockchain? It's a database of transactions in a distributed ledger, in a distributed manner. So Nishad's testimony does get a little bit more detailed than some of the other ones. Then he's asked about an investment in Anthropic, asked what that was. Nishad said it's an AI company focused on AI safety. Asked what was $500 million investments for. It was objected, sustained. Asked what was the involvement in the deal for Anthropic. Nishad said that Sam had set it up and decided on it, and that the investment was done through Alameda. Then they move on to talk about K5, what this was, and what did Sam say about it. Nishad said they were connected with celebrities and that K5 was important. Sam told him of a post-Super Bowl party back in LA where Sam met the most impressive people he'd ever met at Michael Kimes' house. Asked who was in attendance at the party, where at this party, Hillary Clinton was there. Other attendees included Orlando Bloom, Kate Hudson, Kamala Harris's husband, Leonardo DiCaprio. Did you observe between Sam, Michael Kives, or Brian Baum of K5? With Nishad saying that he saw them at the Albany penthouse in the Bahamas. Then a photo was shown with Katy Perry, Orlando Bloom, and Michael Kives with Sam. With Nishad saying that Sam sent him and Gary Wang a balance sheet saying to give millions in bonus to Michael Kives and Brian Baum, and $1 billion in investment in their venture capital firm. There's a lot of money being thrown around here. Nishad said that he objected. He thought they shouldn't send the money, with Sam saying it's basically done. Nishad added that he objected and that he wanted Sam to send his own money instead of FTX money. Then prosecution shows a spreadsheet of FTX deals. Do you see the FTX arena? He's asked. Nishad said yes. $135 million, with $28 million going to Steph Curry. That is a lot of money just to be paid for an FTX commercial. Jeez. Funny enough, the list also includes Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Paid a nice $14 million to promote FTX, Sam Bankman Fried, FTT token, and probably crypto in general. He was asked who Steph Curry was, answering a great basketball players. Asked who Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen were. Nishad saying quarterback and model. Asked who Larry David was. He said, of course, the guy from Seinfeld. Asked by the prosecutor, how much did all these celebrity endorsements add up to? Nishad said all those endorsement deals added up to $1.3 billion. That is a whole lot of money. Alrighty, so far, some hard-hitting punches against Sam's defense. Then they move on to talk about real estate. They introduced evidence, some kind of exhibit, asking Nishad Singh what it showed. With Nishad saying it showed the penthouse, $30 million, and then showing another place worth $9 million. Then prosecution asking Nishad, what did you tell Sam about purchasing the penthouse? He told Sam that it was too ostentatious, but that Sam replied to Nishad that Sam would spend $100 million to make the drama go away. Interesting response there. Prosecutor asking, in 2022, there was a change in the crypto market, yes? Yes. In May 2022, Luna and UST had some sort of algorithmic failure. When asked what this was a failure in the designs of the two tokens. Prosecution asked, what was the defendant saying at the time? That Sam said he discussed raising and acquiring large sources of capital like Celsius or BlockFi, where him, Sam, and Romnick, who worked with Sam on venture capital, they all got together and spoke about this. Prosecutor moved on, asking in June 2022, were you involved in a project involving Alameda research balances? Nishad said yes. Mentioning a bug, asked to explain the bug, Nishad said the bug prevented the correct accounting for the fiat, the dollar amount, at FTX account. This error, the bug, grew to $8 billion at that time, adding that he also overheard a conversation with Gary Wang and Adam Yedidia, previous two witnesses, talking about this very bug. Asked about this negative balance allowance, said it was an allow negative flag, saying it was yes or no, and this bug allowed a negative balance. So now it's getting interesting. Asked when you participated in the creation of the allow negative feature, how did you understand it? Said that he was for getting FTX back the ability to get back locked form of FTT crypto token. He said that he was told this by Sam Bankman Fried and Gary Wang the day he wrote the code the day he wrote the bug in. Prosecution asking, so in June 22, when you saw Alameda's negative at $2.8 billion, what did you think? He was very concerned. Asked, what was your understanding of whether using customer funds was appropriate? Answering, inappropriate. Objection, overruled. So that was allowed on the record. Then prosecutor moved on to account IDs, asking Nishad, what is account number 9? Nishad said it was Alameda's main trading account. And the particular portion showed transfers, including sub-accounts under the name or the alias from the Korean accounts that other witnesses talked about before, under the Soyeon Charles @gmail account. Prosecutor moving on from that, asking, what did the code say about clawbacks? Answering, the code could never cause a clawback. Even if the insurance fund was empty, there was nothing in the code that it would remain negative. Prosecution presented a document showing the $65 billion line of credit and a negative $5 billion, asking Nishad if he saw it while he was working at FTX. He said no. Asked if he recognized the writing style on the document shown in court. He said, objected. Asked, did you ever see Sam Bankman-Fried's writing style? Objection. He said the writing style also belonged to Sam. Asked, did you recognize the email address? Objection. He said the email address belonged to Sam. Prosecution asking, did you recall participating in conversations regarding shutting down Alameda Research? Nishad said yes, that Sam and Gary had sent him a Google document, that he read some of it, didn't read all of it, saying he also proposed shutting down Alameda on FTX, closing some illiquid markets, revamping the OTC system. Prosecution asked, by 2022, did Alameda need the allow negative feature to do market making? Nishad said fundamentally no, and asked him if he ever talked to Caroline Ellison about the possibility of shutting down Alameda on FTX. He said yes, but that Caroline told him that it was impossible. Interesting there. Asked how he responded to that answer. He said he was very concerned. When asked who was on the chat where he was communicating these thoughts, he said Gary Wang, Sam Bankman, and of course, Caroline. Nishad said that Gary said Alameda was borrowing $13 billion from FTX. He was hoping that he misunderstood what Gary was saying because he knew that FTX didn't have that much money in it. Prosecutor asking, how did Sam respond to this? Nishad said he was sitting next to Sam, that Sam seemed unsurprised, and that Sam had made up an excuse, a false excuse, and dodged the whole thing, the whole issue. Asked when he spoke to Sam about this whole thing, he said he did it at the penthouse in the balcony so that it was more private. Asked how long the conversation was with Sam, he said about an hour and a half. Pretty long. Nishad said that Caroline was freaking out about the whole thing and that Sam responded that they were a little short on deliverables, with Nishad saying that Sam thought that he was too worried, Nishad was too worried, and that maybe Nishad should not have circulated the message showing all these concerns from earlier, because Sam said that people are going to be freaking out. With Nishad saying he felt betrayed by all of this, all that Sam was saying, and that Nishad had put his blood, sweat, and tears for 5 years into this whole thing that turned out to be so horrible. The prosecution asked, why did you not leave? Nishad said he could not forgive himself if his departure precipitated the end, and that Sam said on the balcony that he was going to go to New York with Remnick and meet up with Scaramucci. Prosecution asking, who is Scaramucci? Anthony Scaramucci. Nishad also saying that Sam went to the Middle East, try to get more capital, more investments, the Middle Eastern Saudis, with Sam saying they were getting more culturally progressive. Saying he requested more meetings with Sam because he was very unhappy with the whole thing. He wasn't feeling good about it. And Nishad said that Sam said all they needed was another $5 billion to get out of the mess. That they can come out of this as long as they can cough up another $5 billion. Prosecution asking, what else did you discuss? Nishad said that Sam told Nishad that Nishad needs to take care of this, take this off of Sam's plate. And Nishad said he was afraid. He said Sam was on the edge. That Sam was so on the edge that he had physical twitches. Objection. He said that Sam had physical tells, that he could tell that his questions were unwelcome by Sam. He was asked if he spoke to Sam about his spending. He said yes, about the spending deals, the endorsement deals, and also about canceling FTX office plans. Also about canceling a $250 million company acquisition by FTX, a company named AZA, payment company. Nishad said he was upset with the endorsement deals because they were over $1 billion. He thought it was crazy and they should cut this. With Sam saying he didn't think they were bad spends. Sam even proposed paying $120 million for Telegram. Nishad said this made him nervous because he knew at this time that it would come from customer money. Prosecutor moving forward asking about two venture deals. What is Modulo Capital? Nishad saying it was a trading firm run by a couple of associates of Sam's and that they had moved to the Bahamas. Asked what was Skybridge Capital, saying that was Scaramucci's firm. Prosecutor asking, all this took place in September after your talk with Sam, with Nishad saying yes, pointing out in the particular chat that Sam and Gary and him were supposed to take loans and then give it to FTX US, but that this was just on paper, that they were political donations made in his name, and that money came from Alameda. Asked about his involvement in these donations, he said he had very little involvement, that he tried to be as uninvolved as possible. And he said most of these talks were held on Signal chats called donations processing. And then Nishad gets a little explosive here because he points out that Sam let his brother in on the whole thing. His brother Gabriel, he said Sam got him to do it. And that Ryan Salami also had account access, Nishad's account access, so he could also make political donations. And Nishad's sole role was to click the button, just to click yes. Asked who was Ryan Salami, said he ran fiat trading, that he would log into my Prime Trust account and give money to candidates or super PACs, and then he would ping Nishad to let him know. So he's implicating Gabriel Bankman Fried also on this campaign violation stuff. Interesting there, because remember that the real estate portfolio also involves the parents, and they were also taking money from FTX. And of course, his dad was involved with FTX in a legal capacity. Then they show an exhibit of individuals involved with the political donations, which includes Gabriel Bankman Fried, Sam's little brother, who was working out of DC at the time, and it shows two other consultants to GAP. Okay, so then the prosecution is showing an exhibit, a chat feed, a chat thread, showing someone named Keenan Lantz asking Salams to get $20,000 from Nishad Singh's bank account to the Delaware Democratic Party. Prosecution asking, who is Keenan Lantz? Nishad saying he worked for Gabe Bankman Fried's GAP. Prosecution asking, what is that? What is GAP? GAP stands for Guarding Against Pandemics, which apparently Gabriel Bankman Fried was running out of DC, this nonprofit out of DC. Then they're showing something else to the jury. Asked what this was, Nishad says, this is Keenan asking to set up a Prime Trust account that Keenan could access. Prosecution asking, did Sam Bankman Fried have the same setup? Nishad saying yes, from his understanding, Sam had one. Objection! And that was taken out. Gets more interesting. Nishad says they also used his Wells Fargo account. They asked him if they could use his name, his accounts, to make contributions to many Democratic candidates. Nishad said, okay, he agreed. Judge Kaplan asking, what is @Blue? Nishad saying it's a platform to make donations to Democrats, that he was supposed to sign a lot of the checks. Prosecution asking, where did the funds come from for the donations? Nishad saying it came from FTX customers, that Alameda sent him FTX customer funds. Prosecution asking, why were they made in your name? Nishad saying optics, that the end recipients knew that they were actually coming from somebody else. Interesting wording there. Because if the recipients knew that this money was coming from somebody else, that would mean that the recipients were also committing campaign finance. Pretty weird. More evidence shown, showing Michael Sadowski, who told Nishad Singh that Nishad was going to be making a lot of donations to a lot of woke. Prosecution asking, what is your understanding of that? With Nishad saying that it would go to LGBTQ victory funds, but really to others. He said he wasn't comfortable, that he actually looked for others so they could use their names instead of his own name. Asked how these contributions were tracked. He said in 2022, Sam wanted us to fill out a form about all the donations so that Sam could make presentations about what FTX was supporting, the causes they were supporting. More evidence was shown with a spreadsheet highlighting some of the FTX contributions made. Susan Collins, Benjamin Chang, Alex Padilla, Joe Manchin, Mr. Hassan, supposedly an ambassador of Effective Altruism Foundation and Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. Asked by the prosecution, Mr. Singh, did your cooperation, talks, and agreement with the prosecution involve all of this? He said yes. He said yes, that he pled to defrauding and money laundering and campaign finance violations. Now, Sam's lawyer is asking the judge to have a talk in private. They have their little talk with Judge Kaplan coming back and saying that Sam Bankman Fried, the defendant, is not charged with campaign finance violations. Interesting. Prosecution asking, what is the maximum sentence for the crimes that Nishad faces? Nishad Singh said 75 years, but that he's hoping for no jail time. Seriously, dude? No jail time? Come on, seems a little iffy there. How much did this guy stash away? He clearly started saving the chats that he had with Gary Wang and Sam Bankman and Caroline Ellison, of course, to save his own booty, knowing full well that these chats were going to help him get out of trouble and hopefully make a plea deal, which is exactly what he's doing. They move on to ask him what happened in November of 2022. He said the collapse because of customers trying to withdraw their money. Prosecution asking, on November the 6th, did you discuss Alameda's balance sheets with the defendant, with Sam? Nishad saying yes, that there was a hole in the balance sheets, that Sam talked about the hole in the balance sheets, and that him and Caroline had drafted balance sheets. Prosecution asking if he discussed that old fiat account, the sub accounts with a Korean name. He said yes. That Sam referenced the Sion Charles account. Nishad saying that they were talking specifically about making their Twitter messages seem strong. He understood that to mean it was misleading. Confident and therefore misleading. And that Ryan Salami was on the phone. And they were all talking about calling FTX solvent. Nishad saying that he felt it was not true. And that he told them, he expressed this to them. Prosecutor asking who he told. Nishad saying Sam. That he discussed with Sam in one of Sam's apartments in the Bahamas. They next point to a signal chat between Sam and Nishad. Nishad said he told Sam to clarify what my role had been because he felt guilty to these people that he loved and that he wanted the blame game resolved. Prosecutor asking, meaning what? Nishad said that he only became aware late in the game and he wanted this clarified. Okay, so moving on. The prosecution asking if he spoke with Dan Friedberg. Nishad saying yes. Dan Friedberg was the chief lawyer, I'm guessing chief counsel at FTX. Asked what his mental state was. Nishad said that he felt suicidal for some days. And that was it. That was his testimony for the prosecution. And then Sam's lawyers bring up Adderall again. I think it's going to be a key point for his defense. Sam's lawyer, Mark Cohen, even said that tomorrow it should be a half day because they needed time to resolve the medical issues. Absolutely should be resolved. And then Judge Kaplan saying that the new medication won't be available until Thursday. This Thursday, with Judge Kaplan going as far as saying, on the record, mind you, he said he doesn't see any evidence of a problem, but that he's not a doctor. So that's on record for the trial. Key point there. Again, this could be used by Scam Sam's lawyers, Mark Cohen, especially in an appeal if he gets convicted. So I don't think it was wise of Judge Kaplan to say that he doesn't see any evidence. So after Judge voiced that opinion, Sam's lawyer chimed in asking that the court be adjourned until Thursday. Basically, they stopped the whole trial until Thursday. Pretty interesting. With the judge adding that he hasn't heard from a doctor since August the 12th. Seems pretty odd there. Hell, maybe the doctors are getting paid off. Maybe the psychiatrists are getting paid off. You never know with these things. And the judge saying that now they're going to proceed. He has no opinion on if Sam needs it now. With Mark Cohen objecting. After Mark Cohen objected, the prosecution chimed in, saying that the BOP found a lower dose appropriate for Sam, medically appropriate, and that Scam Sam's doctor had engaged in suspicious practices. Interesting there. With the prosecution adding that Sam's doctor was prescribing Adderall to people who didn't need it or didn't need it at that high dose. And it seems that Judge Kaplan agreed with that perspective. The judge saying that he's in custody of the BOP, that they have their own doctors, that he can't write prescriptions, nor that he can let Sam's lawyers their own suggestions as to what should be prescribed. Pretty interesting. And that was it. That was the day. Absolutely explosive stuff from Nishad Singh, with Sam's lawyers saying they would need about 4 to 5 hours of cross-testimony to cross-examine Nishad Singh, with prosecution saying after this week, maybe 1 or 2 more witnesses. All right, guys, well, thanks for spending time with me on the case. Always good to see you. I'll be back tomorrow with the cross-examination. Don't forget, guys, to hit the like if you haven't, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one.